Welcome to my F1 channel, welcome to Peter on Pole. My name is Peter. In pole position, you saw my top 5 drivers for the half term, for the halfway point of the Formula 1 2023 season. Well, guess what? It's time to do the bottom 5, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get things started. At number 5, Mr. Kevin Magnussen. First of all, you should not be behind the Hulkenberg, okay? The Hulk Hogan, okay? You should not be behind Nico Hulkenberg. Why? Because you've been in this Haas seat now for a year and a half at the time of recording. And of course, you've had some previous experience with the Haas team as well. But Nico Hulkenberg hasn't been in Formula 1 for 3 years full time, okay? He's not been here since 2019, and yet he's come here and he's dunking. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe Kevin Magnussen is signing out. I get that feeling from him. You know, the fact that he came back last year, it was all in the fields. We were all loving it. And maybe this time round, he gets to leave on his own terms. You know, he knows that maybe he might not get a seat next year. His contract runs out with Haas this season, and I must admit, he's not showing a reason why they should renew that contract. I've been a bit disappointed in Kevin Magnussen because I thought, you know what, when you're out of Formula 1, there's a bit of a hunger there, and maybe that's a credit to Nico Hulkenberg as well, but I felt like, you know what, you want to be back in this team. You're the one that wants to be here and set a mark and be like, you know what, I never want to lose my seat in Formula 1 again. But guess what, it looks like it's heading in that direction, and I just don't seem to have that same gusto, that same drive from Kevin Magnussen that I've become used to. And sure, he's only got 2 points this season, which is what, 1 point behind Mr. Yuki Tsunoda. But we've been seeing things from Yuki Tsunoda, and we've seen that Yuki Tsunoda has been very unlucky. P11s all day long, okay? And he's been doing some good driving. But Kevin Magnussen, you've not lit me up. You've not done anything since last season, since Interlagos last season, which, hey, we were happy. If I can get one of those performances yet again, then please bring it forward. Because right now, Kevin Magnussen, I'm not really feeling you. I don't know what's really going on there. You're not the worst driver this season, but I've got to put you in the bottom 5. So in 5th place, Kevin Magnussen. In 4th place, and it hurts me to do this because I love this man dearly, Sergio Perez. He is P4 on this list. Why? He's in a Red Bull that is the most dominant car in Formula 1 this season. But you wouldn't know it if you were Sergio Perez, okay? When you've watched him this season, you think to yourself, you know, what kind of car is he driving? Is he one of the P2 teams, you know, where it could be Aston Martin one weekend, it's Mercedes another weekend, Ferrari, maybe even McLaren, okay? We don't quite know what's going on with Sergio Perez, but he's not mentally there. Listen, towards the end of this sort of first half of the season, I think he's got himself back into the positions, right? But at the start of the season, you know, 2 race wins in 4, and then Miami happened, okay? And the guy starts on pole, he's there, you know, ready to win this race. Max Verstappen, his teammate, is all the way in P9, and somehow Max Verstappen finishes 5 seconds ahead of you and wins the Miami Grand Prix. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Since the Miami Grand Prix, Sergio Perez hasn't won a race since. Max Verstappen has won every single race up until the half term, and I've just got to say it's unacceptable from Sergio Perez. This cannot be happening, and it hurts me to say this, but I hope he's heading back because he's got a couple of podiums now, and I'm hoping that he's heading back in the direction that he was started the season with. Because honestly, I feel sorry for Sergio Perez because he could lose his seat. We know what Red Bull are like. He could lose his seat here in Formula 1, and we don't want that happening again, do we? The truth of the matter is as well, you look at Daniel Ricciardo being recruited by AlphaTauri, it's a warning sign for Checo. That seat is definitely under pressure, okay? If Sergio Perez fails this season, then he could be in the hot seat for losing his seat, rather, in a Red Bull. But I don't think Danny Ricciardo will be in that Red Bull seat. I do think Sergio Perez will get it together. This is a man who he rarely disappoints, okay? And I think he's just having a bad season mentally, more so than anything else. I think the Miami Grand Prix doesn't help. I think the fact that he did come into the season talking about championships and fighting Max, and it's kind of gone away from him a little bit. Now he just needs to focus on doing well every single race weekend, and we'll be talking about Checo near the top again. He is still P2 in the constructors, so rather in the drivers, but nonetheless, you know, we wanted to see a bit more of a fight with Max Verstappen. Give us something, you know what I'm saying? Max Verstappen's dominance does not help Sergio Perez's case this season. He's just disappointed me. That's all I have to say on Sergio Perez. The talent is there. We know what kind of driver he is, and he should be a lot closer to Max Verstappen than what he is. He's not even hit 200 points. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen has 300 plus points at this stage of the season. In 3rd place, people, guess what? You might have even forgotten this guy is driving this season, okay? He's been that quiet. He's been that low-key. It's Mr. Valtteri Bottas. He's really disappointed me of late. I don't get it. What's going on, Valtteri? Talk to us. Talk to the people. We're here for you, okay? We want to see Valtteri Bottas. I want to see that Williams Bottas. I want to see that early stages of Mercedes Bottas. A Bottas that has a point to prove, okay? Because whenever he does, he delivers, okay? He does well. And I can't quite work out what has happened to this man. I forget he's even in Formula One. I forget he's on the race day because obviously there's no coverage of him whatsoever. But also, I think he's got like 5 points this season. Zhou Guanyu's got 4 points. I mean, there's not much difference between the two. Now, maybe in quali, Bottas is outdoing Zhou in qualifying, but you expect that, okay? I expected to see a Bottas take the reins at Alfa Romeo, okay? Lead that team to not victory. Don't get me wrong, the car is awful, but just give me something. At least let's see what you can do. Overachieving at Alfa Romeo. That's what I'm asking for, okay? When we look at certain drivers that are doing well in the season, we look at the fact that they shouldn't be where they are, okay? You look at your Albons, for example, your Piastris, your even Fernando Alonso with how he started the season. They're doing above and beyond in their team, okay? Even Max Verstappen, okay? He's dominating, he's killing it. But Valtteri Bottas, where are you? I can't find you this season. This man has less points than Alex Albon and Nico Hülkenberg. Guys, this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. You can't tell me this is the same Valtteri Bottas who has 10 race wins in Formula 1. And believe me, that is a good stat to have, okay? This is a guy who probably, 1 out of 3 races, okay? 1 out of 3 Grand Prix weekends, he would out-qualify Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes. Put it into context. Danny Ricciardo, I think, has 8 race wins in his career. So, Valtteri Bottas has some weight. He has some pedigree about him, okay? He's a competent Formula 1 driver. But he's driving as if to say, like he's a rookie. And the thing is, Alfa Romeo are behind both Williams and Haas. That's not good reckoning for Alfa Romeo. I don't know, maybe Bottas has checked out, but let me be honest with you. I can't tell the difference between Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. And that should not be happening, okay? P2, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what, sorry Americans out there, okay? Logan Sargeant needs to be brought to this conversation, okay? He needs to be brought to this conversation. Only because, look, he has no points, okay? And he's in a Williams that isn't necessarily great, but Albon is carrying that team. Now, he is a rookie, so I have to give him his time. I've got to give him his due. Don't get me wrong, I should do. But I just feel like, you know what? I've seen drivers here be criticized all season long. I've seen drivers here lose race seats, okay? And I'm looking at a situation, like I look at Logan Sargeant, I think, do you know what? Not that I expected big things from you, but do I feel like you could have done more than what you're doing right now? Absolutely. Especially as the Williams seems to have a bit more integrity than it ever used to have, okay? There is something about that Williams this season that we can actually say, do you know what? Logan's done a good job today. I don't think we've really seen it. Maybe once or twice this season. But out of 13 races, once or twice, it just ain't going to cut it. I'm worried about Logan Sargeant, okay? I'm keeping my tabs on him because I don't know if he even deserves to be in a race seat next season. It sounds harsh, but I'm so sorry. I looked at Logan Sargeant. I thought, hang on a minute. They got rid of Latifi, and I think, you needed to get rid of Latifi. But at least Latifi brought some spice to the Grand Prix, okay? Safety car here and there, you know what I'm saying? He gave us something. And here's the thing, right? De Vries is not in a Formula 1 seat anymore, right? He had 0 points, okay? Danny Rick is the only other driver with 0 points. And let's be clear, Danny Ricciardo is going to get points by the end of this season, okay? So Logan Sargeant could end up being the only driver with no points this season. And that could end up him being the worst driver of the Formula 1 2023 season. So, hey, the stats don't lie, okay? Men lie, women lie, but stats do not lie. But number one, ladies and gentlemen, I did mention him earlier. Now, let me just preface by saying this. I hate with a passion when drivers get sacked in a season, okay? Now, my man, Mr. Nyck de Vries, did not even make it to the halfway stage of the season. What was it, 10 races? And the guy was gone? I just thought that is a foul move from AlphaTauri. I was not a fan of that. Never been a fan of drivers being sacked mid-season. I just don't think it's right. Let the guy have a whole season. Let them see what we can do over the course of a marathon, okay? It's not a sprint, even though we got sprint races in Formula 1, I get it. But look, Nyck de Vries, it's fair enough, right? He lost his seat. He wasn't necessarily good enough. I felt like it was too soon. But the fact that you've got that on your record, I can't say he isn't the worst driver of the season so far. He's had the worst report, if you will. He would have had a bad school report. If you look at the numbers, if you look at what's actually on his card right now, is that he's actually lost his seat. It's not been good for Nyck de Vries. I do feel sorry for him. That's for damn sure. I do feel sorry for him. But it doesn't help the fact that when Danny Ricciardo came into that team, he looked good. You know what I'm saying? He looked good, if not better, than Nyck de Vries so far. Fair enough, it's only been 2 races. Hungary, I was so surprised. Spa was a bit of a mixed emotion kind of weekend for Danny Ricciardo because he could have been here, he could have been there. Time tracks, deleting and all that kind of stuff, and didn't really have a great race on the Sunday. But nonetheless, you just feel like Danny Ricciardo's come in and he's like not missed a beat kind of thing. And that's a bit of a concern because I thought maybe the AlphaTauri is not great because obviously Yuki's even been struggling for points, yeah? Not that he hasn't been trying his best to get into that range, but he has been struggling. But then Danny Ricciardo comes in and it looks like, do you know what? This team could really bag some points over the course of the season. And for that, fair enough. You know, Nyck de Vries hasn't been great this season. And, you know, with the experience he has, Formula E champion, F2 champion, and so on and so forth, like, it's not like he doesn't know how to drive in a high sports, you know, in a top level of motorsports. He has done that, but he has come into this season where, and I think the disappointment of, you know, when you look at what he did at Williams last year, getting points in his first and only race in the Williams, you just think, we expected some more. But of course, we would have probably thought that Alex Albon would have got those points anyway had he not been ill. But you know what? It's not a good record to have on the CV. You've lost your seat, and of course, unfortunately, and I don't say this with any glee whatsoever, but Nyck de Vries has to be the worst driver so far this season at the halftime report. Let me know if you agree with any of those. Do smash a like button on this video. If you like Formula 1 content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section who your bottom 5 should be in this list. Have I missed anybody out? Has anyone got away with murder here? And is there anybody here that is harshly being judged on? Please, I'd love to know. Let's have a conversation. Make sure you smash a like. If you've watched up to this part of the video, guess what, people? You're in pole position. Until next time, lights out.